On Mix 1041, we're on mixtv.tv. We're joined by our friends at Hagee's, Jay and Brittany Hagee with Alon Planning Partners. Guys, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Doing great. How are
Morning.
you?
Doing
Well, it's great to see you. And look, the time that we're in right now, every 4 years, we get in these elections. And what comes to mind, guys, when you think about something like this?
Well, obviously, if you turn on the news, you're going to hear a lot of different, depending on which station you listen to, depending on what fear you get, right?
That's right.
And so we obviously have our own thoughts about that. And elections absolutely are going to impact taxes and legislation and things that affect us as citizens of the country. But we want to talk a little bit about investing through that period because the folks that we help, they want to know, man, should I pull everything out of my investments during election year because they hear a lot of fear, or should I go all in an election if I think the right candidate's going to win and it's going to go through the roof? The stock market's actually pretty good at being efficient, even through election years.
and consistent.
Consistent is a good word. And so we want to just tell folks to take the right approach when it comes to investing. We want to make sure. Now, should you be fearful if you don't have the right positioning in your investments? Probably, whether it's an election year or not, you should know exactly how you're positioned and know that it's appropriate for you. Yep. And you can massage those areas of investments from time to time. But we want to make sure that you have a full holistic strategy when it comes to investing. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, because we talk to a lot of folks and they say, well, if this person gets in office, it's going to be terrible. Or if this person gets in office, it's going to be awesome. Or whatever their perspective may be. When it comes particularly to the stock market and investing, as Jay said, it is really consistent. I'll tell you this, it really makes no difference as to which political party is in power.
Right away, correct.
Yeah, because the stock market maintained an average return of 11.6% during election years. That's all the way dating back since 1926.
Yeah.
Wow. No matter which political party took power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really interesting. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and not one party or the other necessarily determines the immediate trajectory of the economy.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that.
Want to bring that to mind today because
we just want people to not take fear. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
right?
And the most important thing is to consider your positioning. That is the key of our conversation today, is to help folks think about the importance of how they're positioned. Because we talk all the time about how you can't control the markets, you can't control economy, you can't control inflation, but you can control your positioning, and how you're positioned in times of volatility matter. Now, right now, this week, last weeks, it's been pretty good, right? It's been up and up and up, and there's been a few down days, but it's popped right back up and kind of brought more and more increase. So positioning during these times does matter. So, and that's going to look different depending on what stage of life you're in, depending on how close you are to retirement, depending on your assets, how much assets you have, and how they're maybe measured out into different buckets, so to speak, or different portions of funds, and how you're investing those. So it's very important to consider. So for those listening today who may not understand their positioning, or may have questions about, am I positioned rightly for my stage of life, for my positioning, for my timeline to retirement? This is a key to really bring all of that top of mind.
It's really more about you and your family than who's in the White House, right?
That's right.
Because that's what you need to know. And we can help, no matter who's in the White House, position you for a way that is going to be successful for what the goals that for the goals that you have. And that's what we want folks to know. So now we want to make sure that we are making decisions that are proper on tax planning, estate planning, things like this as well, because we do a comprehensive approach. We're just talking about investments today, but you want to make sure that you understand what the tax law is going to be depending on which party is going to be in there, right? Yep. And we help navigate through that as well. So we want to make sure that you are positioned appropriately no matter who's in the White House, so that your goals get met for you and your family.
So kind of to sum up the conversation, here's kind of maybe three key things. Don't live in this place of worry or fear of what's going to happen, what might happen. Is the economy going to totally drop out? Is the stock market going to totally plummet? Is it going to jump? Don't get lost in the cyclone of what ifs. when it comes to what if this, what if that, and living in that. Now, if you're putting together a plan, that can be beneficial, but getting caught in the cycle of it is where we don't want you to stay.
And if you are caught in the cycle, you need to create an appointment with us because
may be why
that's
you're caught in the
why
cycle.
because you don't know.
They
You
won't
have
say
a
anything,
lot of
yeah.
uncertainty, right?
So, which leads us into don't allow fear to make your decisions for you. Like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm just going to pull everything out of investing, or I'm just going to stop. Which leads us into the third point. Don't avoid and just do nothing.
Yeah.
Because sticking your head in the sand, you're going to end up with more and more issues. You're still going to have to face the same things.
Yep.
It's just going to be later when you have less and really fewer options as to how to handle those.
Can I say something? The 3 points you made, that'll preach.
Yeah.
Now that'll preach.
We have a sermon
That
outline.
that can go financial matters or anything else. Don't
have
let
a-
fear get in the way.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. Don't be driven by your emotion. Don't be led by fear.
And I'll say fear is not of God.
We have not
Come
been
on.
given a spirit
That's
of fear,
right.
but a spirit of power, of love, and a sound mind.
There we go.
And if
I
you
mean-
have a sound mind, that means you have a plan.
Yeah.
You have God has
You've
given us a
done your
wisdom,
part.
and so we've done our
Yes.
part to step into that. And some of that is faith, right? Like,
Amen.
but a lot of it is planning. God's given us wisdom. He's given us a brain, and we want to use it. So we want to make sure that we're not holding on to fear, but we're holding on to fact. And a lot of times that's hard to navigate when you're listening to nothing but nonstop news, who's
Right.
driving a fear cycle, right?
Absolutely.
So we want to put a stop to that today and say, don't live in that. We can help you get through with a plan.
Yeah, so if you find yourself kind of in that cycle today, or not knowing, or maybe with questions about how is the election or the economy going to impact your situation as you're planning for your retirement, give us a call. That is why we're here. This is what we do day in and day out, is help folks navigate
That's
through
right.
investments, through
That's right.
tax planning, through estate planning, determining how to create an income in retirement, healthcare. All of these matters are so important to your comprehensive outlook and overview, and we want to help you get to where you want to be.
We didn't come to preach today, but we'll do it.
Come on now, come on. About time to take that offering.
that's
All right. My late great friend Perry Gillum would help us with that, I'm
That's
sure.
exactly
Hey,
right.
let's
He could preach, that's for sure.
I love Perry Gillum. Hey, let's get the contact info out there. How do we get a hold of you?
Sure. You can go to our website, allonplanning.com. It's ALLON planning.com, or reach out directly, 423-315-1441. That's 423-315-1441. We would love to connect with you and your family.
Jay and Brittany Hagee, Alon Planning Partners, and we're back in a moment.
Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. All rights reserved.